good morning with the lovers of reading. Today we talk about a very interesting novel, which I assure you will love it.
Wuthering Heights is a novel written by the English Emily Brontë and published in 1847, a year before her death. Emily's life was not easy at all, and this was reflected in her poetry and her only novel. The publication of Wuthering Heights was met with scandal, yet it is currently considered one of the best classical literary works ever written. This novel is characterized mainly by having a moral analysis of human thought and also by having a deep study of a mixture between hatred, revenge, and love.
Each character has a different personality that makes them unique, immersing very intense feelings such as revenge, passion, and violence that lead them to commit acts that will ultimately lead to their own ruin. Emily captures in each of her chapters a strange form of romanticism, a strong realism, and finally, an unmatched originality. This novel consists of 34 chapters, in which the reader will become aware of the intense feelings that exist between the two protagonists of Wuthering Heights. There is more of me in him than in myself. Whatever our souls are made of, his and mine are the same. Mention a character in the novel, referring to a feeling that will take place in the work and it will cause everything that can be done out of love for the other person, codependency. My existence will be summed up in two sentences, condemnation and death. Living without her will be hell. In this sentence, all the hatred possessed is said by a character who mentioned him that is contained, signs, by accepting everything he did for the bad feelings contained in his being. He has no choice but to accept the consequences that come to him, condemnation and death.
It consumes you with love, doesn't it? There is nothing in the world like that. Phrase that can be related to what happens in society. Many people allow themselves to be consumed by the love they feel for a person, leaving aside everything that they once considered important. Referring to this phrase, I think that one of the worst punishments for my would be to blind myself for love and have my world revolve around it. What must be taken into account is that Wuthering Heights is far from being a conventional love story. From the beginning, I realized how genius this novel is as well. The story feels as if two characters that are considered cursed. They may have a happy ending, but they never achieve even that instant. Together, they destroy the possibility of being together and embark on a bizarre and very violent mission to take revenge on the other, devastating everything to their he passed, everything they love, what they could have loved, what they love, absolutely everything, constantly blaming each other for not being able to be together, tormented by a powerful, obsessive, and sick love.
With a couple of broke doors, Emily Brontë could portray the spirit of a face so that it didn't need a body. By speaking of the moor, she could make the wind blow and the thunder roar, says Virginia Woolf, referring to readers to novel. It was a novel without presents or successors. Its originality lies not only in the arguments, but in the strength of the style, the prosody, of this narration on how the author managed to transmit all those strong passional feelings, which are expressed and reflected in the force of nature. Somehow there is a fusion of the characters with the fierce beauty of a lonely landscape. In addition, critics and scholars of the Wuthering Heights emphasize the great influence of the author's lives in the novel. It is striking that the origin of this wild and coarse story is the mind of a woman on completely quiet and asexual life, who only wrote this novel and several poems. It seems as if in novel Emily had unloaded all her enlashed passions and what it meant to live and puritanical customs typical of the Victorian era. This book has intense, deep, and unpredictable emotions. From the deepest sorrow, the most intense hatred, strong language written by a woman in the early 1800s. Harmonious, beautiful, perfectly constructed word for word. Dramatic and powerful scenarios. A book that is often underestimated because it is written by a woman and because it's old. It must certainly be boring, but certainly gives more than be expected.
I hope you liked the video. Don't forget to like it and subscribe. Also, comment on what you found most interesting. Bye bye, I'll see you later.